Hello, I'm glad you're here this evening. Before we begin, I want you to know that this story is meant only to help your mind slow down, your thoughts soften, and your body relax into a peaceful rest. There is no hurry, nothing to worry about, nothing to solve, just gentle scenes and quiet images unfolding slowly like a soft breeze across a calm landscape. Now, let us begin this long, soothing journey together. The night had settled over the valley with a calmness that felt almost timeless, as though the world had decided to move a little more slowly just for those who walked through it. A soft glow rested over the distant hills, where the last traces of twilight gently faded into a deepening blue. Along a winding path, bordered by tall grass that swayed with the slightest whisper of wind, a young wanderer named Elian walked at an unhurried pace. He carried nothing but a small satchel and a quiet heart, drawn forward by the simple comfort of the evening air. The path beneath his feet was cool and smooth, worn by countless travelers who had passed through this land long before him. Fireflies drifted lazily on either side, their delicate lights blinking softly in the darkness like tiny stars that had fallen gently to earth. Elian watched them as he walked, feeling their slow rhythm settle into his own breathing. Inhale, exhale. The world around him breathed too, and the harmony soothed him deeply. Far ahead, a faint river murmured in the dark, its soft voice blending with the sound of the wind through the leaves. Elian listened, letting the gentle flow draw him nearer. The river in this valley was known not for power or danger, but for its quiet beauty. Its surface often reflected the sky in such a peaceful way that one might feel as though they were walking beside a piece of the night itself. As Elian approached, the trees parted, revealing the river resting in a graceful curve. The water shimmered with a dim silver sheen, reflecting the rising moon above. The moonlight danced over the ripples in soft patterns, never too bright, never harsh, just a calm, steady glow that gently illuminated the nearby stones and grasses. Elian paused near the bank, letting the quiet moment settle around him. The river gave off a cool, soothing breath of air, brushing lightly against his face and bringing with it the scent of clear water and distant pine. He lowered himself onto a smooth, flat rock near the edge, running his hand across its surface. It felt cool but comforting, grounding him in the stillness of the moment. The grass rustled softly behind him, moved by the night breeze, each blade whispering in gentle harmony with the flow of the river. Elian closed his eyes for a moment, letting the sounds wash over him. He could feel the day slowly melting away from his shoulders, replaced by the quiet embrace of the night. When he opened his eyes again, he noticed a faint, warm glow on the opposite side of the river. It flickered softly, not like fire, but like a warm light gently pulsing. Curious yet calm, Elian watched as it shimmered behind a cluster of tall reeds. It did not grow brighter or dimmer. It simply existed, steady and warm, as though it had been waiting for someone to notice it. Elian did not rise or move toward it. He simply watched, letting the gentle glow rest in his vision. There was no urgency, no alarm, only curiosity softened by peace. A small ripple touched the surface of the river, catching the moonlight and stretching it across the water in a long, wavering band. The glow behind the reeds responded with a soft flicker, almost as if acknowledging the ripple's presence. Elian smiled faintly at the idea, though he knew it was only the water playing with the light. Still, the moment carried a quiet magic that soothed him more deeply. The night sounds began to shift around him. The distant chirping of insects formed a slow rhythm, harmonizing with the soft sigh of wind through the leaves. An owl hooted somewhere high in the trees, its deep call echoing gently through the valley. None of the sounds were sharp or startling. They blended into a single, calming tapestry that wrapped itself around Elian, making him feel as though he were wrapped in a blanket woven from the night sky. He leaned back on his hands, looking up at the stars. They were scattered across the sky in countless tiny specks, each one flickering softly. Some were bright, some faint, but all held their place with patience. He watched one small star twinkle gently near the horizon, its light pulsing in and out like the slow rhythm of breathing. The sight eased something deep within Elian, a softening in his chest, as though the star's calm had reached into him and settled there. A cool breeze swept across the grass again, carrying with it the sound of the river's gentle flow. Elian took a deep breath, letting the crisp air fill his lungs. The scent of water, earth, and night settled into him, grounding him more firmly in the moment. As he exhaled, he felt his body grow heavier, not with exhaustion, but with relaxation. His limbs loosened, his shoulders softened, and the tension of the day faded completely. A small rustle came from the other side of the river, and Elian opened his eyes slightly, though he did not feel startled or tense. A small animal, perhaps a deer or a fox, moved quietly along the riverbank, its steps light and unhurried. It paused to lower its head and drink from the river, creating small ripples that spread gently across the surface. The warm glow behind the reeds flickered once again, as though responding to the visitor's presence. The animal drank for a moment more, then lifted its head and moved silently back into the tall grasses, disappearing without a sound. Elian followed its movement with his eyes, feeling a soft sense of companionship with the gentle creature. The world around him felt alive, yet deeply peaceful, as though everything within this valley understood the importance of quiet moments. He shifted into a more comfortable position, stretching his legs out in front of him and leaning slightly to the side. The rock beneath him felt cool and stable, supporting his body as it grew even more relaxed. His gaze drifted back to the glow across the river. Now it seemed slightly brighter, though still soft and gentle. It pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat or the rhythm of a distant drum played with the lightest touch. As Elian watched, he felt a sense of familiarity wash over him, though he could not recall ever seeing such a glow before. It was not the familiarity of memory, but the familiarity of comfort, like the feeling of warm blankets or the sound of gentle rain. He rested his hands on the ground beside him, fingers sinking slightly into the soft grass. The cool blades brushed lightly against his skin, their touch soothing. He allowed his eyes to half close. The quiet glow and the river's soft movement slowing his thoughts until they drifted like clouds across a calm sky. There were no pressing concerns, no lingering worries, just the peaceful night and the slow, steady rhythm of nature surrounding him. The moon continued to rise, casting a silver path across the river. Elian watched the light stretch toward him, shimmering with each small ripple. It felt as though the moon was reaching out, offering a quiet companionship from the sky above. He accepted it with a gentle breath, his heart settling into a steady, relaxed pace. He lay down fully now, stretching along the smooth rock. The surface felt cool beneath him, calming his back and shoulders. He rested his head on his folded arms, closing his eyes completely for a moment. The sounds of the night grew softer, blending together until they felt like a single, soothing melody. The river's gentle flow, the rustling leaves, the distant calls of night creatures all moved in perfect harmony. Elian opened his eyes again, slowly, letting the soft light of the moon and the warm glow across the river fill his vision. Everything appeared slightly blurred, not from tiredness, but from tranquility. The lines of the landscape softened, blending gently together. The world seemed to melt into a calm haze, comforting and warm. He listened to his own heartbeat, steady and slow, matching the rhythm of the night. His breaths grew deeper, more relaxed, flowing easily in and out. With each breath, the softness of the world around him seeped further into his mind, easing him into an even deeper calm. A faint mist began to rise from the river, swirling gently in the air like soft threads of silver. It drifted across the surface, catching the moonlight in delicate patterns. The glow behind the reeds shimmered through the mist, creating a gentle halo of warm light that reflected on the water. Elian watched the scene unfold like a dream, each movement slow and fluid, carrying the promise of rest. His eyes grew heavier, though he kept them open a little longer, wanting to hold on to the quiet beauty of the moment. The stars above shimmered softly, guiding the night forward with patient, gentle light. The breeze brushed over him once more, cool and comforting, carrying away the last lingering bits of wakefulness. Elian exhaled deeply, his entire body relaxing into the embrace of the night. The river continued its steady flow, the glow across the water pulsed quietly, and the gentle mist swirled like a lullaby brought to life. He felt himself drifting, not into sleep just yet, but into a deeper state of calm, where thoughts slowed to stillness and the world felt distant yet warm. The night held him gently, and the peaceful valley wrapped around him like a soft, living blanket. The next morning arrived quietly, as if the world wanted to match the peaceful rhythm that had taken root inside the cottage. Soft light slid across the wooden floor, illuminating tiny floating dust particles that drifted like lazy stars. Ilara stretched, feeling the lingering comfort of last night's warmth, and listened for the birds just outside her window. Their songs were gentle and unhurried, the kind that made her breathing naturally slow down. She stepped outside with her small cup of tea, letting the steam rise into the cool air. The forest path looked even more serene than before. Dew clung to every leaf, shimmering like tiny crystals. Nothing felt rushed. Even the wind moved carefully, brushing past her with the softness of a quiet reassurance. As she walked toward the familiar riverbank, she felt something she had almost forgotten, a sense of being guided, not by a loud voice or a dramatic sign, but by a quiet pull, like the world itself was nudging her forward. She followed the sensation, trusting it without question. The river welcomed her again, its surface smooth and patient. The water's slow movement created hypnotic patterns, spirals and rings that expanded and faded in perfect harmony. Ilara sat at the edge, letting her fingertips trail through the cool ripples. With every breath, she felt her thoughts drift away like floating leaves carried downstream. She closed her eyes and listened. There was a hum, soft, steady, and familiar. It wasn't a voice, not exactly, but a presence. Warm, encouraging, gentle. The same presence she felt in the cottage the night before. It wrapped around her like a comforting blanket. As the hum deepened, she felt the ground beneath her shift, not physically, but energetically. The earth felt alive with a calm pulse. Her heartbeat synced to it, slower and softer with each second. She inhaled deeply, letting the peaceful rhythm fill her chest. Then, just as she allowed herself to sink deeper into that serenity, the air thickened with a faint shimmer, not bright, not frightening, just a delicate veil of light that settled around her like falling mist. She opened her eyes and saw that the forest was glowing in tiny fragments, like it had been lightly dusted with stardust. Ilara didn't move. She simply breathed, letting the moment settle into her bones. The shimmer slowly grew, and from it shapes began to form, soft silhouettes, like memories trying to take shape. They weren't people nor creatures, but something else entirely. Reflections of warmth, reflections of comfort, reflections of the quiet guidance she had been feeling. They hovered around her, not touching, not approaching, just existing, as if waiting for her to feel ready. Ilara's breath steadied even more. She felt no fear, only a gentle curiosity. These forms, whatever they were, felt like pieces of the same peaceful force that had watched over her. One of the silhouettes shifted slightly, and the air around her warmed, like sitting near a small, glowing hearth. A calm whisper, not a sound, but a feeling, reached her. "You are safe." The words weren't spoken, yet she understood them completely. The glow around her dimmed a little, becoming easier on the eyes, settling into a soft halo of warmth. The forest returned to its natural colors, though still wrapped in the quiet serenity that surrounded Ilara. The silhouettes began drifting back, dissolving into the gentle shimmer they came from. The light rose into the treetops, fluttered once like a sigh, and faded. Ilara remained by the river, feeling more grounded than she had in years. She didn't chase explanations. She didn't question what she had seen. Her heart knew that whatever was getting her meant only peace. She stood slowly, dusted off her dress, and followed the forest path home, breathing in the crisp, calming air. And this time, the path didn't feel like a route she was walking. It felt like a path that was walking with her. The afternoon drifted in gently, carrying with it a soft golden light that rested over everything like a warm blanket. Ilara returned to the cottage with a calmness that seemed to glow from within her. She placed her hand on the wooden door before entering, feeling the familiar texture beneath her fingertips, the small scratches from years of use, the warmth the sun had left behind, the comforting solidity of home. Inside, the cottage seemed different somehow, not changed, just more alive. As if it too had felt the presence she encountered by the river, the air carried a faint sweetness, like blooming flowers mixed with the comforting smell of old books and warm wood. Ilara walked slowly across the room, letting the quiet of the space meet her step by step. She set her cup down and sat in her favorite chair, the one with the slightly uneven leg that gave a gentle rock when she shifted her weight. The rocking settled her deeper into the calm she had been cultivating all day. Her eyes drifted to the window, where the forest stood like a guardian, silent, patient, and welcoming. The breeze picked up, brushing through the trees in a way that made them sway in rhythmic waves. Ilara felt the movement even inside, as though the wind was inviting her to listen closely again. She closed her eyes, allowing the soft sounds to guide her breathing. Inhale, exhale, each breath slowing her heart a little more. As she sank deeper into the moment, she felt the same subtle presence from before, not through shimmering lights or visible shapes this time, but through a feeling, a gentle expanding warmth that settled across her shoulders and into her chest. It was like sitting beside a friend who said nothing, yet offered complete comfort. Without opening her eyes, Ilara sensed something shifting around her. The quiet seemed to deepen, the room holding its breath with her. She felt the faintest vibration under her feet, steady and comforting, like a low, calming hum. It pulsed gently, guiding her thoughts into stillness. The hum grew warmer, forming an invisible cocoon of peace. Ilara wasn't sure how much time passed. It could have been minutes or hours, but the quiet was so profound that she didn't need time to measure anything. She only needed to breathe and exist in the gentle flow of serenity. Eventually, she opened her eyes, feeling lighter, as if the weight she once carried had dissolved into the air around her. And then she noticed it. Tiny lines of soft blue light traced themselves across the wooden floor, faint and delicate like glowing threads. They curved and intersected, forming shapes that looked almost like constellations, but flattened onto the ground. The patterns pulsed slowly, with the same rhythm she had felt moments ago. Ilara watched, mesmerized. The lights weren't bright or startling, they were subtle, like moonlight captured in gentle strokes. As she leaned closer, the shapes began shifting, moving in small, fluid motions. The constellations reformed, unfurled, and rearranged themselves into new patterns. For a moment, they aligned into a shape resembling a path, a simple, glowing trail leading from the center of the room toward the back wall of the cottage. The glow intensified slightly, not demanding her attention, but inviting it, offering a quiet suggestion. Ilara stood and followed the gentle illumination. Her steps fell in perfect rhythm with the glowing pulse beneath her feet. She reached the back wall, where an old wooden shelf stood filled with small trinkets, river stones, tiny carved animals, dried flowers, and faded papers she had collected over the years. The glow focused on one particular item, a small, folded piece of parchment she had found long ago by the river, never opened. She reached out and picked it up. The cottage seemed to hold its breath again. When she opened the parchment, there were no words, only a simple drawing of a winding path leading toward a distant light. The same path the glowing constellations had formed moments before. The same quiet guidance she had been feeling since yesterday. Her heart warmed with recognition. This wasn't something new. This presence, this guidance, had been with her long before she realized it. Ilara folded the parchment neatly and held it close. The blue lights gently faded from the floor, dissolving like mist, leaving behind the natural wooden grain and a peaceful stillness. She returned to her chair, feeling the quiet settle once more around her. Outside, the forest watched silently, the breeze brushing through the leaves like a whispered lullaby. And as night slowly approached, Ilara felt a certainty growing within her, a soft, calm assurance that whatever lay ahead, she would be guided toward it gently, step by step, without ever being rushed. The world was guiding her, not with urgency, but with peace. The evening settled over the forest like a soft veil, dimming the colors of the world until everything rested in gentle shades of blue and silver. Ilara stepped outside the cottage, letting the cool air wrap around her like a calm embrace. The sky above was opening into night, each new star appearing one by one, steady and patient. She walked a little way down the familiar path behind her home, where the trees arched together like an old, quiet cathedral. The leaves whispered softly overhead, their voices blending with the faint hum she had been sensing all day. It felt closer now, clearer, as if the world itself had something tender to say. Ilara stopped in the center of the path and closed her eyes. For a moment, everything was still. Then the hum grew warmer again, spreading through her chest, down her arms, into her fingertips. It was not a pull, not a command. It was simply presence, gentle, gidding, patient. The same soft light she had seen in the cottage earlier began to appear around her feet, tracing delicate lines through the forest floor. The lines glowed faintly, forming that same winding path she had seen on the old parchment. But this time, the drawing wasn't on paper. It was alive beneath her. The path extended forward a few steps, then slowly faded into the natural darkness of the forest. A quiet invitation. A reminder. A promise. Ilara didn't need to follow it tonight. She understood now. The path was not telling her where to go. It was telling her that she was never walking alone. With a slow, steady breath, she opened her eyes. The forest seemed to breathe with her, trees shifting gently, branches lifting slightly as though acknowledging her awareness. The world wasn't calling her somewhere far away. It was simply telling her she was held, supported, guided, always. Ilara looked up at the sky, the stars glowing brighter against the deepening blue. She felt no rush, no pressure to move. The story of the path would unfold in its own time, step by step, night by night, moment by moment. Peace wasn't something she had to chase. It was something that rose to meet her when she finally allowed herself to be still. She turned and began walking back to the cottage. The leaves shifted in soft waves overhead. The glow beneath her faded gently behind her, and the quiet hum within her stayed, steady, comforting, familiar. When she reached her door, she paused, taking one last look at the forest. No lights appeared. No shapes moved. No magic shimmered. But she felt it all the same. The presence, the warmth, the guidance. Peace. She stepped inside, closed the door softly, and let the night settle around her like a blanket. In the quiet of her home, she lay down and allowed her breathing to slow. The world outside continued to whisper gently, its voice carrying through the window like a lullaby. And as she drifted into sleep, she knew, truly knew, that whatever tomorrow brought, she would meet it with calm steps and a steady heart. Because the path was never meant to be rushed. It was meant to be lived. Slowly, softly, peacefully. Just like this moment. Just like this night. Just like her story. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this peaceful story, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, and support the channel. It helps more than you know. For now, that's all for today. I wish you a beautiful night and the sweetest dreams. Sleep well.